Carolina Panthers are 4-3 after a fairly dramatic loss to the San Francisco 49ers, 51, not 41, 51-13 on Sunday. Darin Gantt covered the Panthers for years and has been with PFT now for 7+ years. Darin Gantt's been with us. He joins us now. Good morning, Darin. How are you?
Time flies when you're having fun, huh?
Or when you're not. I don't know. Hopefully you're having fun. I still say that
no doubt.
This job we have beats the hell out of working for a living, that's for sure. And we just get to watch the games. We don't have to actually play in them. There's no injury report for the people who are covering the games. And obviously that's topic number one for the Carolina Panthers, who had those 4 straight victories, Darin. Still waiting for Cam Newton. We haven't seen him since week 2. Here we are at week 9. It's been 7 weeks since he was on a football field. What's your best understanding as to when we may see him again, if at all, in 2019?
I think if at all is a reasonable expectation, and I think it's going to be a lot later than a lot of people think. I don't know what happened, and I don't know if some other reporters got, fed a line or were doing a favor for somebody or what, but there were some very over-anxious estimations about when he was going to be back on the field. I mean, really from the start, people were talking about the bye week. No, it was, a Liz Frank sprain is a serious injury, and I think even beyond the mechanics of the injury itself, Cam Newton's been hurt for a year and a half or more. And in his fireside chat, cigar and glass of wine confessional on his vlog, he made it clear he wasn't going to come back until he was 100% because he's tired of playing at something less than 100%, which he's been doing for a very long time. So I think the desire to get himself completely right and the Panthers' desire to not, wonder what percentage of him they're going to get has led them to be cautious. And I think it's still I was talking to somebody over there recently who, nobody wants to put an exact date on it, but they were talking about, the front end of the speculation would probably be an Atlanta game that's coming up, I believe, 4 weeks from now. I mean, they're kind of looking at the last month of the season, if at all. So I think people are, should just kind of get used to the idea that it's going to be Kyle Allen and mostly Christian McCaffrey, and they're going to have to ride that defense as far as they're going to go.
Yeah, it was odd. There was a fairly prominent report a couple of weeks ago that he was going to be back at practice last week heading into the 49ers game. And there's been this balance that people are trying to strike. Do we want 100% Kyle Allen or 90% Cam Newton? I mean, I agree with you. And every indication I get, Cam Newton's not going to play until he's 100%. And when he's 100%, he clearly is your best option at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. I mean, and they played that game all last year. Is 90% Cam better than 100% somebody else? Okay, what about 80? Now we're down to 70. It was like the reverse of the mountain climber game on The Price is Right. And every week it got a little bit worse and a little bit worse. And it's really imperative for him as much as them to get himself right because he's going into a contract year next year. And if he's ever going to get a bite of this $35-40 million a year quarterback market, Apple, then he's going to have to get himself well because right now I don't know who in their right mind. Now, there are some teams that aren't in their right mind, but who in their right mind would give that kind of contract to Cam Newton because he hasn't been well on a consistent basis for the last year and a half. Now, he's played through injuries. I've said this all the time about the guy. You can't question his toughness. He got hit by a truck, and a literal truck, and continued to play football. He had only missed 4 games, prior to shutting him down last year with the shoulder finally. Now, he had played when he wasn't clearly well. So I think the guy had been his own worst enemy at times in the past, but I think he's realized whether it's turning 30, whether it's impending contract or whatever, but I think he's kind of come to the realization that he needs to get himself right for the time beyond the 2019 season.
Yeah, and here's the question I have. If he doesn't return at all this year, what will the Panthers do next year? Because next year is the last year of his contract. Right. It is well below market. And I had always thought this was an up or out year for Cam Newton. He's either going to earn another contract that pays him $30 million per year or maybe more, or they're just going to move on. But if they never really get a good look at him this year because he was never healthy this year, what do you do about next year?
Yeah, I would just ride it out. I mean, honestly, and if push comes to shove, you've got to franchise tag him at the end of that process, so be it. But I don't think you can, in good conscience, even though David Tepper has more dollars than any single owner in the NFL, I don't think you can justify spending that many of them on a guy you haven't seen play. So I would just ride it out. I don't know if he's comfortable with that, but I also don't know that he has a terrible amount of leverage at the moment. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, the guy was tough. The guy was successful. The guy did everything right. I mean, he wears funny hats, and people in Charlotte aren't comfortable with him all the time. But the guy did everything on the field you could ask of him to do and didn't get in trouble off the field. So I'm not sure what the beef was, but, to me, it's just you got to wait and see. Until he's well, until he shows you he can be Cam Newton and run, you can't invest in him.
We're down to the last 30 seconds, Darin. Early on, when the Panthers lost 2 home games to start the season, I started to think maybe Ron Rivera's got to worry about things here, maybe Marty Hurney. Is there a way this goes off the rails for both of them, and they both could be on the outside looking in after the season?
Possible. I mean, if it craters like it did last year after a big loss at Pittsburgh, if they go and lose 7 in a row, I think it's pretty easy to see David Tepper being interested in doing something like that. But, I think he also likes some of the things that's going on here, but so much of it is quarterback driven. And, I mean, that's going to be the central decision, and I think everything stems from there.
All right, Darin, great stuff. We'll look forward to some Price is Right references. Try to make a Plinko or some other related reference at PFT.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.